right. Is it on Facebook yet? I don't think so.
Give me a second. All right.
Okay.
There we
So,
go.
hello, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Talk. And I am speaking with my friend Kirsten. Where are you located?
Hello. I'm in Springfield, Illinois today, and my
Oh,
cat Peanut Butter is also deciding to make occasional forays. He wants you to know he's right here.
hello, kitty. Aw, so cute. So
Just like us.
yeah. Um, so today I thought we would start our chat with what we were talking
Mhm.
with before we got live. There's been a lot of stuff with eyes lately, seeing things,
Yes.
perceiving things. Sometimes we see things out of the corners of our eye, and recently I've been not seeing something out of the corner of this eye, and it's like the weirdest sensation because it's like somebody's put a thing up
Mhm.
there, and I'm like, what is that? Uh,
Yeah.
and the automatic response is, what's wrong? What's happening?
Right. Something
Do I
must
need to
be wrong
go to
with
the
me.
doctor? Yeah,
Right. Run, go get help. You can't
right.
possibly do anything for yourself on your own here. And it must be yours.
And then, and then, if if you're at all curious about other possibilities, you can ask questions like, well, what is this? What is my body aware of? What is it
Yeah.
showing me? Is this even
Mhm.
mine?
Yeah.
And like in me, it's because I've been using these tools for so long, I'm more used to going into the question instead of the
Mhm.
freak out. So yay me for now.
But even sometimes, like I haven't been using these tools for as long as you have, but even with now I'm at like 5 years in, and I still have moments where I'm like, oh my God, my eyes are so goopy this morning, and I'm waking up and I can't see. And then there's like the floater, and you try to like you look that way and it comes this way, and you try to catch it, but you can't because it moves.
Yes,
And I'm like, I haven't had one of those since I was a teenager. Something must be wrong with me. And it's like having the time to take a second and take a breath and be like, okay, well, what is this? What can I do with it? Can I change it? If so, how can I change it? Works for so many things. It's not just like the random weird body thing that shows up in the morning when you get up. So
exactly.
how have you been? Like, what questions have you been using for that one?
Well, all of those.
Yeah.
And you know, really like is this mine? And I know it's not. And I've had some really intense body experiences before where I knew it wasn't mine, like something in my foot, and like I could not walk. I was like limping, and it's like, what the hell? Like I didn't do anything, and all of a sudden I cannot walk. I can't put weight on it. And it lasted for an entire, I don't know, maybe 24 hours.
Uh-huh.
And then we got to something. I was traveling with a girlfriend, and she said, I just want to put my foot down about this, about her husband.
Uh,
And then all of a sudden it let go. And I was like, what it was.
there you go.
And it went from, total intense, cannot
Yeah.
use it, to
Yeah.
completely gone. And so
Yeah.
I know when you ask, is this mine, even though it feels intense and you think it's yours, and there's no reason for it to be,
Hmm.
that if you can remain in the question of like, okay, body, can we release this? What are you showing?
Yeah.
What else
Yeah.
is possible?
Yeah. Some of the questions that came up, because I actually had a foundation recently where a participant was having all sorts of sinus and eye stuff. She said she felt like she was detoxing. She was like, she knew it wasn't hers, but she also was getting her body was having a physical response to releasing this energy. So
Mm.
she just kept asking like some of the questions you were saying, like who does this belong to? And Pud and Pocking using this clearing statement. If you've never heard that, you can go to theclearingstatement.com and learn more about it. Um, but just like unpacking this like stuff that was just like literally coming out of her eyes. And I've had a little bit of that too. And it's funny because I talked to a lot of people on the global engagement team and with Access Me, like across the globe. And I was trying, well, I was not trying. I was in communication with someone in Australia, and she's like, I really want to talk to you, but I can't because I have all this sinus stuff going on in my eyes and my ears. And she's like, I just need space. And then I was talking to someone in Brazil who was having a similar issue. And then I was talking to someone in Europe who was having a similar issue. So what are we all aware of? Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes these things are global. It's like it's all of a sudden everybody gets this awareness and they're experiencing it in a similar way.
Mm-hmm. And I also think, like, while you're talking about the stuff coming out of your eyes, many times that has to do with entity awareness.
Oh, interesting.
And so I wonder if your participant might need a talk to the entities class.
It would not surprise me. That's a great awareness too. I wonder what she's aware of.
Mm,
And like that the idea of what you said about putting your foot down and the foot thing went away. Like
mm,
when you can't see, when there's something in your vision, what are you not willing to see? Or
mm,
what is it that is like trying to come out? And in some cultures globally, I know it's very common to have conversations with entities. There are places where it's like, oh yeah, just go in the backyard and hang out with the fae. Okay. You know, I was listening to a conversation the other day of someone just casually talking about dragons. And I think sometimes in the United States, it's like people don't take into account that there are beings without bodies and that yeah, entities, maybe it's not something that's visual, because seeing has so much
mm.
to do with more than just the eyes. It's the really that sight, that awareness. I was wondering if could you say more about that and like how you experience that with your talk to the entities work?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I've heard about in from like other people, other psychics and stuff, is this ectoplasm thing. And I think the way they talk about it, it seems like they're trying to prove something by having this stuff. But I've also heard Shannon talk about having gunk and stuff in her eyes, ectoplasm, what have you. And I think it is about starting to see or perceive what's inconceivable.
Oh, how interesting. Okay. So taking, yeah, yeah, it's almost like that layer of lack of awareness. I'm really fascinated with consciousness, duh, duh. But one of the things I learned over the years was that we receive from the universe all over, everywhere, a million plus bits of information per second. Their brains are capable of processing approximately 5,000 of those. So if you imagine that, that's 5,000 out of a potential million bits of information every second that we get. What about the rest of it? So
Yeah,
it's about gating the awareness. So we gate the awareness to what we think we need to see, what we think we need to be, what we think we need to do, when the reality
that's
is there's
through
so
the
much
brain
more. Yeah. Yep.
because the brain can only do
Yes.
5 to 10%. But
Right.
remember, there's that 1,000% brain capacity
Mm-hmm. Oh
process
yeah.
you can run.
Yep.
And it's not even really like the brain is for functioning the body, but
Mm-hmm.
awareness doesn't have to include, like, it doesn't have to be limited by what the brain can do or perceive.
Right.
Awareness is beyond all that. Awareness is, well, I guess the body also has awareness, but the being has awareness, and they're two different things. And when you communicate with your body, you get, then you get like more whole, I guess,
Yeah.
awareness.
Well, that's like what I was uh, trying to extrapolate with like
Yeah.
what that is like the sight is to eyes. We immediately go to what can our eyes see? What can our eyes be when really your sight kind of ties back to that greater awareness. And that psychic gift of sight, or the ability to see something that's not right in front of you, is very real for many people. Even down to the aphantasian. If you close your eyes, can you picture an apple?
Right.
That's still sight. It's just a different kind of sight.
And yeah, and like with entities, you don't have to see them, but you can know that
Right.
they're there and you can perceive them.
Right. Okay. So it goes into the perceiving, receiving, being, perceive, and knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Huh.
did actually a little video that I put on my YouTube channel the other day of just seeing a little something out of the corner of my eye and in my garden. And when I went to look, there was nothing there, supposedly nothing there. But a friend of the family had recently passed and he came to visit and like he was there. I could
Yeah.
perceive it. I couldn't see him with my eyes, but I could
Yeah.
perceive him
Yeah.
and the connection, the energy. I could even see him in my mind's eye of the man he used to be when I was a kid.
Hmm.
It was really interesting and so tangible, even though you can't see it.
Yeah.
Ah, so
Wow.
if you don't see it, does it mean it's not real? No.
Right. And if you're aware of it, does it mean it has to come through books or through a specific class or through, like how much of our awareness do we just simply have? Like, it brings up for me actually some of the X-Men conversations within Access, and just that, when you have someone who has what is typically considered neurodivergent or different or other ways their brain functions, right? Because that goes to the body, right? It's going to the brain.
Hmm.
But oftentimes, that child who has ADHD, they can't show their work on their math problem because they did it like in an instant as they were reading the math problem. And then to go back and write it down is almost, I can't even, like, I can't tell you how I got there because I just got there. But did I
Yeah.
get there correctly? Yes or no? And
Right.
so the need to,
To prove
like,
your work.
prove your work, to see it with your eyes, to, it's like this defined.
Yeah.
It's actually, maybe it would be fun to collaborate on a class. I have a defined to death that I want to do right around Halloween because I can use ghosties. Because like so much of our lives we take and we try to define exactly how things are. We've got to understand them. Like I was up in the mountains of not North Carolina, sorry, New Hampshire, once driving through at nighttime with a friend, and a Yeti walks across the road. you know, I mean, it was kind of not, it wasn't standing up. It was kind of like over big old mitts the size of basketballs. And we were both silent. I had to slow the car down, obviously, so we didn't hit it. It's bigger than a Suburban, like it's massive. And, you know, there's not much going on up in the mountains of New Hampshire. So you kind of notice when something
Mhm.
is there. Well, I was like, okay. And I kind of turned to her and I say, so did you just, and she's like, yeah, I saw that. And we just did a quick, like, okay, long hair, curlyish here and here, big old, like talk. Okay, we both saw visually, we saw the same thing. In this case, it was an actual, like, I saw it. Well, as we continued to drive towards our destination, I listened as she, like, it was like almost like this, she had to define it into non-existence to like unsee it.
Because it doesn't fit the reality.
It didn't fit the reality. It
Mhm.
um I mean, yeah, it doesn't. I've never seen one of those before. I called it a Yeti. I don't know. Maybe it's like a special New Hampshire uh, mountain manimal or something. They grow them different up there. I don't know, but it
Bigfoot.
was very, yeah, it was very much alive, moving, and bigger than anything I've ever seen animal wise. You know,
And
it's bigger than a
like
freaking elephant.
what was your sense of the energy of it?
It was just doing its thing. It didn't really care that we were there. It was almost like, I don't know if you've ever been on safari.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So there's an experience of sometimes you're off and you're looking at the wildlife and you're in these big trucks and going bumpity bumpity bump. And you get to see the animals. And sometimes the animals are like, oh yeah, you're there and you're seeing it. And sometimes, and these are what I consider the really majestic experiences, is they don't really care that you're there. They just do their thing. And that's when we all go, oh, wow. Because it's just, this is life. This is what's happening. There, it's like the
Being
lions
that.
are hanging out. Yeah, they're being them. The lions are hanging out with the zebras, which are hanging out with the birds, which are, they're just all, they're doing what they do.
Mm,
And so the energy of it was just, it was very non-significant.
mm,
It was just this thing walked across the road.
mm.
It had to get to wherever it was going. I don't know where it was going. There was no malicious or scary
And
or
it wasn't like, trying to give you any information. It was just,
no.
thanks for slowing down.
It just existed. It was actually, it wasn't even thanks for slowing down. It was kind of like that, a little bit of that boss woman energy of like, you're obviously slowing down because
Yeah.
I'm walking and I'm going to take my time. You know, so it was just a was. It's just a thing. It just existed.
Mm,
But because there was no, you could make significance out of, I saw something that's never been seen before, and now you must hunt it down and discover it and find more
mm,
about it. Or I can set up a little stool in my backyard and make a tea party for it in case it decides to stop by.
mhm, mhm.
I'll let you guess what I actually did.
And
But
this is
yeah,
why some of these things, you just keep for yourself, just for you,
yes,
just for
yes,
fun. You don't have to
yeah,
tell because, people will think you're crazy. But here we are on
yeah.
Facebook. Ooh.
Here we are. Yeah, live. Oh, hi, nice to meet you all.
But yeah, it's so interesting what our awareness can give us if we're willing to receive it.
Yeah, yep. And all this started off talking about eyes.
Mhm.
It really is amazing.
So, I heard that you had a roof fall on your head.
I did. I did. It was actually like my whole body, like I was entombed in dirty insulation.
Ugh,
There's
from
this
from
beautiful
a dead sleep.
tree.
Yeah,
Huh?
you were asleep.
Yeah, I was asleep. It woke me up.
Wow.
Yeah. I was it was the day after a storm, and normally here in the Midwest, you think like if a tree is going to come down, it comes down during the storm.
Mhm,
This one had actually seemed like it might have, it was like it'll maybe eventually come down, but there was no clear need for it to be taken out. It was actually on my neighbor's property. And I just kept asking questions and like, okay, is anything required of me today? Do I need to talk to them and ask them to take the tree down? Do I need to have a tree expert come out and look at it myself? And I just kept getting nothing. So I just figured I was like, all right, tree, if you need to come down, if you could kind of like go that way, I'd really appreciate it. So lo and behold, it fell and it did. It kind of went that way, but this it slamming into the roof, that's what collapsed the ceiling.
uh,
So it broke a couple of the I don't even know what these called, trusses or whatever it is, the hip. My roof got its hip broken and a couple other things. But what that did was it took the ceiling itself, and it went like,
Mm.
and it literally, like, that crack point was directly over my body.
Oh my God.
So it dumped, like, I was covered in like a foot and a half of insulation. And the thing that I kept thinking was, oh my God, could this just be over so I can go back to bed? And I really did not want to have to get up. But
So
once yeah, I had
even though
to,
you were
obviously.
surprised, you
Yeah.
you had an inkling that it was coming. Could be.
I knew that it that tree could come down. There are a lot of really beautiful old trees in this neighborhood, and every time there's a big windstorm, one of them comes down.
Mm.
There is a derecho, which is like, I think of it like a flattened hurricane. It's like 400-mile-an-hour winds that goes this way rather than this way.
Wow.
And that last year at this time actually had taken out power for over a week. And this is an area where most power lines are buried. So for it to be able to do that is like pretty significant for the infrastructure around here. Um, yeah, so I had some awareness, but again, I also just continued to be in communication and ask questions with, is it, do I need to do anything? Is everything okay? Am I all right? I was the only one, like, who was physically well, the little kitten was as well. She was under the bed. She's like, what is going on here? Because you could hear it. You could hear the impact and then the
Yeah.
rumble, rumble, rumble.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, is this a tornado? Because, we're in an area where that happens. But what I've really come to since was just, do you ever have that demand in your universe of like, now, this actually, I need this now, I require this now, money come now. I I am changing this no matter what it takes. If I could change it yesterday, I'll change it from yesterday. Like, there were some things that I was just, I don't know what this is going to look like, but I had a really big ask and demand for a bunch of different things to change. This has managed to tick off like 9 or 10 things off the list of things that I was like, I require this now. I need to go through my entire wardrobe and really look at who I am,
Yeah.
because I realized that I've been like wearing the same things, and I'm like, this just isn't me anymore. Who am I? What do I want to wear? Well, I currently have no access to my wardrobe. Zero. I had to go buy brand new underwear.
Nice.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
it's amazing.
that is so funny. Way back when I started Access,
Mhm.
I started doing like Access makeover for the new person that you have become because so
Oh my
many people
gosh.
are like, I don't know who I am. My clothes
Yeah.
is eh. And
Yeah.
I just love finding the energy that works for what you're stepping into.
Yeah. And that's been a lot of fun because I wouldn't have necessarily gone out and bought new clothes. But
Mhm.
because the insurance has to cover for in the interim, I have probably at least another month before I get my clothing back or access to it.
And you
I
probably don't
can't.
want it.
Well, some of it I don't. Some of it is going to be trash and I'll have to replace.
Mm.
But it's been fun to say, like, I'm only going to buy things that match the energy of who I am now. That when my body puts them on, goes, oh, I
Yes.
say that. And I know most people might not get it, but like, there is actually clothing that when you put it on, even if it's not your style or you don't think it is, your body just relaxes.
Mhm.
And so now I only wear things where my body relaxes and feels really just nurtured, at ease. So, wow, what a way of demanding more ease, joy, and glory in my life and actually being handed something that creates more ease. Some of the other fun ones it gave me, I wanted to do mushroom logs. I have like a third of an acre, and we've got chickens and turkeys and some gardens. And I wanted to include some mushrooms because I know they're great for the environment. You can eat them. Well, you need 4-foot lengths of wood that are approximately 4 to 8 inches across. And you need about 10 to 20 of them to really get started, at least for what I wanted to create, what I was
Mhm.
choosing. Do you know what happens when a tree comes down? Do you know how much wood you get? About exactly enough. And about
Thank
as
you,
much wood
tree.
as I would, yeah, thank you, tree. And
Uh,
about as much wood as I could want to have fires this winter in the fireplace.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like,
It's amazing what we ask for. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
yep. And the popcorn ceiling in the room that I
Yeah,
despise will be gone.
yeah.
And the room will get repainted, which I had wanted to. It's like something feels different. I don't like the carpet. Well, that's got to get replaced.
Hmm.
Um, it was about time to change the bed out and get a new mattress. Well, that's done.
Hmm.
Like there's so many little things that like one, and everyone's like, that's a disaster. That's horrible. I'm like, actually, it's kind of been challenging at times, don't get me wrong. Like there are moments where I'm like, I don't where in the beginning I was like, I don't have a t-shirt. Like how do I not have a t-shirt? I'm out of underwear. Oh, I only bought 3 days worth. I have to go shopping again. But the amount of joy that it has brought and the amount of ease that it has brought is it surprises me every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Silver
from the
lining
ceiling
after
falling on me.
silver lining after silver lining. Yeah.
Completely.
Hmm. Yeah,
Completely.
I've been thinking, I have to clean out under the sink and do these things, and I had been putting it off, and I came home one day. Instead of going out to lunch, I bought something and brought it home, and I came home and it was raining from the upstairs to downstairs, all this water, and I was like,
Oh,
what the hell? And there was just this faulty gasket in the upstairs sink, and
yeah.
it was like a few inches of water in my living room.
Oh my goodness.
None of my furniture got wet. None of the paintings on the walls.
Yeah.
Just it like went around it. It was just the rug, which it was a sunny day, so I put it out and it dried. And it was just the weirdest thing. And everything under the sink got wet. So tossed it. And there you
Right.
go.
Well, and so what's the gift of that and also what's the awareness? The awareness that you had that perhaps that was coming. And also the gift of, oh, we're just going to make this easy for you. You don't have to take the time to look through it, just pitch it all.
Yeah, it was only one side. It's a double sink.
Uh-huh.
So the landlord changed out all the fixtures in
Yeah.
all the rooms. And I cleaned out the other side of the sink and found $1,200 that I had stuffed in a jewelry case,
Oh
you
my
know.
God. How does it get better than that?
So fortunately, the leak was on the other sink where, it was like cotton balls and my hair
Yeah.
dryer. I had to buy a new
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is interesting, to get us to move, to do things, to change, even though we know we should,
Yeah.
we stop ourselves, which is kind of funny. But
Hmm. Well, and then sometimes you get your butt kicked
yeah,
and it says no now. You said you wanted it now. Here you go. You can have it now. Um, I'm just grateful that my fiance also does access consciousness body processes. So I was able to receive one that's really good for trauma called trifold sequencing systems.
mm,
And as I know I'm opening a can of worms right as we're probably wrapping up, but um, as a survivor of 9/11 and someone who used to have debilitating PTSD, something like this, according to doctors, should, because of my neurology is now prone to it, have
mm,
taken me out for 6 months to a year because of the trauma. It would have
yeah,
thrown me right back into a very deep, um, a deep response of non-function,
yeah,
dysfunction. And I'm laughing. And so I was able to receive that body process trifold sequencing systems almost immediately. Well, as soon as I showered and tried to get some of the insulation out of my hair, I was on the table. I was getting work. I was able
Wow.
to get my bars run, which is another one of the body processes from
Such a
access
gift.
consciousness.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
Everybody
like,
should learn bars because,
oh,
no matter
absolutely.
what happens, you run bars for even 10 minutes on somebody.
Hmm.
I knew someone who was in a bike accident. She got hit by a car, and the guy I was dating at the time, I had taught him bars, and he went over and talked to her and ran her bars until the ambulance came.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know what you did, but it like totally calmed me down.
Yeah.
It's an amazing gift.
Yep. Is it's like when you can address, and I would love to see this in more first responders toolboxes, because if you can address the immense energy that comes up when there's a trauma or there's a situation or things are changing,
Hmm.
and you can help people at that point start to let go and start to heal, by the time they have to, or by the time they're to a doctor and their physical body needs to heal, some of that emotional stuff just, it's dissipated, so they can actively contribute and co-create to the wellness of their body at that point, rather than, I call it, it's like a buzz. You can't hear anything when the buzz is going. And that's what trauma felt like to me, is there's always this, like, it was, I just couldn't, everything was so loud. So, like, how many times in my life can I think of where if I had gotten bars right then, it might have completely changed direction? But I have it now, and I'm totally grateful for that tool. And definitely get your bars run, don't get your bars run. It's whatever works for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Well,
Cool.
it's the end of our half hour,
Yes.
but it was so nice
Awesome.
talking to you.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you too, and nice to see all of you who came and joined us today.
Yeah. So, um, I'll put your website in
Okay.
the show notes, and if anybody's curious about following up about any of this stuff, please feel free to reach out, and have a great week.
Great. Thanks. You too.
Take care.
Bye.